10 volcanic islands sit 500 kilometers off the coast of West Africa. With only 10% arable land and no mineral wealth, this archipelago is currently breaking global travel records. This chart tracks international guest arrivals over the last few years. In the first quarter of 2026, those numbers surged 17% compared to the same period in 2025, bringing in roughly 380,000 visitors in just 3 months. The primary driver is a cluster of expanding flight pipelines connecting European hubs directly to the islands. Travelers from the United Kingdom now represent about a quarter of all guest arrivals. There is also a distinct behavioral shift. As conflicts in the Middle East create volatility in traditional travel markets, Cape Verde has emerged as a safe destination, attracting tourists who are prioritizing regional stability. By commercializing its mid-Atlantic location and institutional stability, Cape Verde has built a world-class economic engine in a place where traditional resources are almost entirely absent. To maintain this momentum, the government turned to an unconventional marketing tool, sports diplomacy. The national football team's performance in the Africa Cup of Nations and the 2026 World Cup qualifiers placed the country in the global media spotlight, reaching millions of potential travelers. The national basketball team's participation in international tournaments further increased this visibility, attracting interest from emerging markets across the globe. These visibility gains led to direct economic returns. The 2025 national GDP growth reached 6.3%, driven by surging tourism and construction. As the economy expanded, the extreme poverty rate dropped to 9.5%, lifting 13,000 Cape Verdeans above the poverty line. This 17% surge in arrivals serves as a vital financial lifeline, providing the capital necessary to fund social programs and local infrastructure. However, the wealth generated by this boom is not distributed evenly across the archipelago. Tourism activity is heavily concentrated on the islands of Sal and Boa Vista. These two arid, flat islands account for more than 85% of all hotel stays in the country. Because these islands lack arable land, the tourism ecosystem depends on imports. From the food served in resorts to the materials used to build them, must be shipped in from overseas. By bottlenecking its primary industry onto two small, import-dependent islands, the nation has created a point of acute economic vulnerability. The IMF warns that this creates massive external exposure. With tourism accounting for over 25% of the national GDP, Cape Verde's survival is tied to the disposable income of European vacationers. Global instability directly affects oil prices, which creates an immediate inflationary shock for island nations. Rising fuel costs make it more expensive to import essential food and significantly increase the cost for European airlines to fly passenger planes to the archipelago. The World Bank has cautioned that these inflationary pressures could soften international demand, threatening to stall the country's single economic engine. This projected slowdown is already reflected in the data. The central bank expects growth to dip to 4.7% in 2026 as these global tensions begin to impact external demand. This is the paradox of Cape Verde's success. Its most powerful economic asset is also its most dangerous vulnerability. The government recognizes that relying on seasonal travel is a precarious strategy for long-term national survival. Their response is the Blue Economy, a strategic framework designed to leverage the nation's vast ocean territory to diversify its income. This plan focuses on developing sustainable fisheries and aquaculture value chains, aiming to build local industries that can export products to international markets. Cape Verde is also expanding its maritime shipping infrastructure, attempting to capitalize on its strategic mid-Atlantic position to become a regional logistics hub. The goal is to use the profits from the current tourism boom to build a more resilient infrastructure that can survive a global downturn. Navigating this transition has become the defining issue of the upcoming 2026 national elections. Prime Minister Ulisses Correa y Silva, the architect of the current recovery, faces political pressure from challengers who are calling for a more aggressive redistribution of the nation's new wealth. The coming administration must balance the immediate needs of the current tourism surge against the years of investment required to fully operationalize the blue economy before the next global shock arrives. Cape Verde's legacy depends on its transition from a seasonal retreat into a diversified Atlantic hub, capable of weathering the global economy on its own terms.